Hi, I'm Charles with AniCap. This is part 3 in a series. All other parts will be linked in a pinned comment below. Previously, we saw that our hero Leo had defeated the Demon Queen and her army in such a decisive way that humanity began to fear him, eventually attempting to have him assassinated. After being forced to leave his home, Leo was allowed a position in the Demon Queen's army by one of her generals, but only for a trial run and only as long as he disguised himself as the Black Knight Onyx, so that the Demon Queen does not find out. Leo and the generals would go on to learn more and more about each other, growing closer in the process. The story continues as we see goblins unearth something mysterious. Back at the castle, Edvard's daughter Juliet explains how her father feels like a failure after his troops failed the training exercise and he briefly considered taking his own life for it. She explains that the troops were mere amateurs and had little chance of beating a powerful chimera. Edvard seems to think that everyone should be as strong as he is, but fails to understand that strength does not come as natural to everyone else. Leo explains that this is why good warriors do not always make good teachers. They assume that if others do exactly what they did to get strong, then they should become strong as well. But if they don't, it's simply because they are not trying hard enough. Juliet reveals that after Leo defeated him, he began to work even harder, and his training is so intense that his troops are passing out from exhaustion. However, Leo says to not worry as he will take care of it. Elsewhere, Mernez relays to the other generals what Leo had told him about being a weapon created to kill demons. They wonder what his true reason for joining them was if not to destroy humanity, and Lily believes that he is just a good person trying to help them with their current troubles. They all agree that he has helped them greatly and to continue trusting, but also keeping a close eye on him. Leo paces in his room when he remembers a report Lily made about something that he believes might help with Edvard's situation. However, he is summoned by Echidna who tells him that Edvard had just quit being a general so he can train as a common foot soldier. She begins to ask for Onyx's help, but reminds herself that she shouldn't rely on him too much. However, he is confident he can fix it, so she concedes. However, she explains that afterwards she has something important she must discuss with him. Later, Lily brings Leo to the digging site where an artifact from the Machine Age that is more powerful than a chimera had been found. At the training site, Edvard reveals how he will be stepping down, much to the dismay of his troops. Just then, the artifact begins its attack, and the counterattacks of the troops prove useless. Leo watches and thinks to himself how they are not the ones that should be trying to fight it. The machine stops as Leo wonders if it's defective, but it only stops so it can prepare a powerful attack. Leo must intervene to save their lives when he realizes that it melted itself, meaning its safety restrictions must not be working. It is much more powerful than Leo had anticipated, and he decides that he and Edvard must work together to defeat it. Leo knows a lot about the machine and explains how to avoid its attacks while countering. However, Edvard has a hard time understanding and explains that while it might be common knowledge for Leo, it is not for him. This is exactly what Leo had hoped to teach him. Juliet arrives to share her knowledge of the machine's weak point, and Edvard finishes it off. They begin to congratulate one another when Leo notices that it has called for backup. Leo prepares to fight them all, but is relieved to see that Echidna and the other generals have arrived. We then see a brief flashback of when Echidna hears of Leo's plan and would like to assist him, as Edvard is one of her dear underlings that has helped her time and time again. She promises to handle her side of the conflict so Leo can finish up his plan. Leo mocks Edvard for being a great general but not knowing about the machine's abilities, as literally everyone else does. He then makes the comparison to how Edvard spoke to his troops, and Juliet steps in to defend her father. She explains that anyone would have trouble with a task they've never done before, and training must start with the basics, eventually working your way up. This makes Edvard realize that it was his troops' lack of experience and not effort that caused them to fail. His troops apologize for failing, but Edvard reveals he is the one that needs to apologize, as he was the one lacking effort at being a better trainer. His troops admire him greatly and only want him to continue training them, so he agrees to do so. Days later, Shutina explains to Leo how the Demon Queen plans to promote him to a leadership role alongside the other generals. She expresses her concern about his true intentions, and he explains she need not worry, as he will not betray them. Shutina asks that he wait to reveal his true identity until she gives him the signal, as it could be disastrous if timed incorrectly. Leo then has a memory of an imp he once met that claimed they were not the bad guys and had no intentions of attacking humanity. He explains they only came because they were tired of the endless fighting in the demon world, and also a bit of curiosity since not many have seen the human world with their own eyes. Furthermore, the ruler of the demon world, King Belial, is a terrible ruler who resolves everything with violence. The imp fears for his life, but Leo thanks him for the valuable information and asks he accompany him. The imp would go on to explain that Belial intended to open the portal to an uninhabited island so they can get resources. However, the portal ended up in the center of Tokyo. Some of the demons began attacking and others tried to run away, but the portal had closed. Seeing as how only high-ranking demons could do it, it was clear that their intentions were always to leave them to die in the human world. He explains that high-tier demons look down on the lower-tier ones like they are gum on their shoe. The imp has had enough of it all and is prepared to die, but Leo again thanks him for the information and promises to escort him to a safe location. The imp can't believe this is the same person he saw killing demons earlier, and begins to grow uncomfortable by their silence, so he asks Leo for his name. Leo is surprised as this is the first time a demon has asked his name, and the imp explains he was once told that as long as someone remembers your name, you'll never be truly dead. The imp introduces himself as Abrad, and Leo introduces himself as an anti-devil self-development bioweapon, Demon Heart Series 05 DH05 Leo. He explains that he was one of 12 unstoppable weapons designed to imitate and eradicate devil kind. As humankind's fortress, blade, and shield, their sole purpose is to protect humanity. Abrad expresses sadness for Leo's situation, but Leo can't comprehend that at all. Abrad explains by questioning what he will do when the war is over, and Leo says he will simply be on standby until another threat to humanity presents itself. Abrad believes that it will be much harder than he thinks, when his reason for existing will be stripped away from him, and he realizes he will have to live on anyway. Leo wonders if he is being threatened, but Abrad says he is just concerned for his well-being. Leo understands that he will continue to live on, eventually being whisked away from the time when he knew his identity, and will be forced to move on, confused and aimless forever. They both acknowledge that more wars will come, but that would only restart the cycle, eventually losing himself again. Leo says not to worry, revealing that he is the weakest of the Demon Heart series and the probability of his death before it's all over is high. Abrad is relieved, hoping that he is right, and says he will be praying that they kill him before he becomes too invincible. Leo genuinely thanks him, and Abrad can't believe he didn't detect the sarcasm. Later, they arrive at the location where Abrad will be picked up and taken to safety. He had hoped to be able to return to the demon world, but realizes now that won't happen. He then vows to live life to the fullest and find a way for demons and humans to live in harmony. Abrad wants Leo to remember him forever and demands that after he bridges the gap between their people, he better have a statue put up of both of them. As he prepares to leave, Abrad asks that he not work himself to death and to live his life the way he wants to. His final message is that Leo shouldn't get too caught up in the born to protect humanity stuff, and whenever humanity stops needing him, to use that as his chance to find something else to live for. Leo reveals that at the time he couldn't see that outcome ever happening, but always kept it in his memory. As Leo makes his way to his meeting with Echidna, he proclaims that he now understands his wise friend Abrad, and promises to use his life the way he wants to. His plans for the meeting are to reveal that he is not Onyx, but actually Leo, and to explain his true reason for joining the demon army. We then get a glimpse of when Echidna prepared the document that will lift Onyx's temporary status and make him the 5th member of the Great Generals. She cannot think of a person better suited to extend a hand to humanity on their behalf, and is excited to think how he will greatly help them in their quest to obtain the Philosopher's Stone. However, before the meeting can get started, they are informed that the Great Spirit Portal is closing, and they must rush to it. They manage to stabilize it for the moment, but understand that it won't last longer than 7 days. Lily stuffs her face with food as she can't understand what the concern is, and they must explain to her that the portal closing will mean that they won't be able to return to the demon world. They also have no way of knowing if the next one will take centuries or even millennia to come. Their only choices are to return before the 7 days, which would also mean disbanding since they can't take the non-demons back, or to immediately mobilize their army, attack Renae, and take the Philosopher's Stone. They all agree that their army is currently far too weak and war would end poorly for them. Echidna believes this is especially true considering the humans still have their greatest hero Leo to protect them. She reveals that she herself does not fear death as she left the demon world prepared for it, but she refuses to lead others to the same fate. She decides that they then must disband and return to the demon world. She thinks about how her entire life had been dedicated to obtaining the stone, with the dream of granting her wish to save the people of the demon world, and how it must now end in defeat. Leo finally removes his helmet as he explains that the stone is not a wish-granting device, but an advanced engine from the mechanical age that is able to produce unlimited energy. No one knows how to use it, but there is believed to be a manual somewhere with the explanation. Echidna has yet to notice Leo's face as she explains how she would like to work with the humans in finding the manual, but knows that taking the stone would ruin the chances of that happening. Leo reveals that there are actually 2 known stones in the world, and finally demands that she look at his face. She is stunned, and he uses this as an opportunity to explain that the real reason he joined the army was to determine if she was truly worthy of the Philosopher's Stone's power. He reveals that he was convinced she is when they spoke over dinner and wine. She is still in disbelief as she scans the room looking for Onyx. Leo believes she can bring order to the demon world, which in turn would mean demons would stop bothering humanity. Leo says they must hurry, but Echidna is upset at being had and unleashes an attack. Later, we see that Leo is leading the group to the other Philosopher's Stone, and we also see what happened right after his reveal. Leo had explained that lying was the only way, but she doesn't care and wished that he would eat poison mushrooms and die a rotten death. The generals came to his defense, reminding her how helpful he had been to all of them. She gave in to their pleas and pardoned Leo. He then revealed the second stone's location, warning that it is protected by a powerful guardian. Their journey continues as Leo explains that the Philosopher's Stone is a project he had been working on for years, and will now be passing the torch on to Echidna. She mockingly asks for his wisdom, and he tells her that the stone isn't a magic item for granting wishes. She is aware, and he says that once she has the stone, she must first make peace with the humans, so that they can search for the manual together. He warns that peace will not come easy, but she is extremely confident in her abilities and refuses to be underestimated, which Leo is glad to hear. He hopes that she can beat any mighty foe that stands in her way, but remembers that he had actually beaten her quite easily before. The generals happily watch as it seems that they are getting along, and begin to believe that they can actually all become the 5 great generals. Echidna wonders how Leo is so knowledgeable of the mechanical age from 3,000 years ago, and she is shocked to hear that is when he was born. He goes on to explain how he was created in response to the original demon invasion, and how he is able to copy any and all abilities used against him to develop his skills endlessly. He is a result of 3,000 years of hard-won experience, and his sole purpose is to protect humanity. However, when peace came, he would wish for more danger, and she wonders why he can't just enjoy the hard-earned peace. He reveals that sometimes he wonders if he is actually holding humanity back, and might just be doing it all for himself. Echidna knows for a fact that is not the case, for if it was not for him, the human world would most certainly be under her control. He believes that humans will one day have the power to protect themselves, leaving him with no purpose. Leo thinks he might actually be breaking down and will one day bring chaos to the world just to give himself a reason to keep protecting it, plunging the world into chaos just to pull it back out. He asks if she knows what must be done before that happens, but they are interrupted by Lily, who says they have arrived. The group looks around in search of the Guardian as Leo turns to reveal that there is none. Furthermore, he actually possesses the Philosopher's Stone, as it is actually the heart of the Demon series. He explains that they must kill him and tear out his heart in order to get the stone. He has prepared for this moment and formally announces his resignation from the demon army. He warns that if they try to run, he will kill every human he can find and destroy any texts that tell them how to use the stone. He loudly proclaims that if they want the stone, if they want to save the world, then they must stop him right then and there. Thanks for watching. The links to part 1, 2, and 4 will be in a pinned comment below.